Esme, it's been some time, hasn't it, since we've had a chat, what with lockdown and then not being able to go to the Liberty, but you still managed to see a little bit of football.
Oh, gosh, yes. Thank goodness for the iPad and streaming and all the football on the television. You know, it's been brilliant, really. Obviously, once they got playing again, during the first lockdown where there weren't any games, that was hard. Mm-hmm. You know, not having any games at all.
Yeah, but it came back, and you say you've been keeping an eye on all the games, and actually over the last couple of weeks we've been completely spoilt. One by the Swans, which we'll come to in a minute, but also the amount of football on television, it's here, there, it's everywhere, isn't it?
I know I'm missing out on all my other programmes. I'm just football mad, you know, just watching every game I can watch. The only ones have been the last few nights. I've been switching over after half time because I wanted to watch the Pembrokeshire murders.
I'm glad they got him in the end. I've got to tell you, Esme, I've actually cancelled my my camping trip to West Wales after that. I'm not going again. It's terrifying, wasn't it? No, goodness me.
Brilliantly done.
It was great, wasn't it? And I was just thinking about things like the FA Cup. That must have brought back an awful lot of memories for you. Those young teams, because so many teams haven't been able to play their full teams because of COVID. We've seen a lot of young teams, and that's brought back a lot of memories for you and the kids that you grew up with.
Yes, it was really good. I wasn't looking forward to the FA Cup because, like, when I was young, we were always the underdogs, and if we drove, you know, a team like Arsenal and Newcastle, which we did, it was so exciting to be. But now, in some of the games, we are not the underdogs. The opposing team is the underdogs, like poor Stevenage. But I must say I've watched most of the games, and they were so good. I loved the Aston Villa playing Liverpool, to see that young boy score that goal, and he only looked about 12, and the excitement on his face. I think that's goal of the month now as well. You know?
Yeah.
Louis Barry, I think his name was. It's about 17, so he was so good. And then there was the young boy that scored for Tottenham, the 16-year-old. That was exciting. But what was exciting in that game was to see Ben Davies and alongside Joe Rodens. I felt so proud of them. Two of our academy boys, you know, playing for Tottenham. And it made me realise that it's just like 60 years now that Terry Medwin and Cliffy Jones were the two Swansea boys playing for Tottenham. And that was the year that they won the double. So, you know, I love making all these stories. Well, I'm not making the stories up, but remembering them.
Yeah.
So that was really
and also, you know, when we played against Stevenage, saw it on the TV, and the mist came down. Now, that brought back memories for you as well, didn't it?
Oh, gosh, that did. Well, I can remember it was 1953, because that was the year we got married, and it was in the January, and we were drawn away to Newcastle. So they all went off to Newcastle, which was a mammoth journey. Because I remember when we went in 58, it was 13 hours on the road, because, of course, there were no motorways. So I don't know what it must have been like in 1953. And off they went, and after 7 minutes, the mist came down, and the game was abandoned. So that was the end of that. Of course, no phone calls. You don't know what's happening. You know, you just have to rely on the PATH news and the Welsh news on the radio. So they had to stay over until the Tuesday, and the game had to be played in the afternoon because there were no floodlights. But it was a beautiful day then. And when Ivor came home, he said it was a lovely day. And then when they played the original match, and then the mist just came down.
Yeah. 7
minutes off, they couldn't see a thing. So when I saw it happening at Stevenage and we were 2 up, I thought, oh my God, don't let it be abandoned today.
It was quite. It was very funny with the commentator saying, "There's something happening over there. I can't tell who it is."
Yeah, I know. That was amazing.
Yeah.
So yeah, lots of these games do bring back memories. Long time ago.
Again, before we get to the Swans, let's look at the Premier League. It's been quite a shake-up this year, isn't it? I mean, I know you're a big Pep fan. You're a big Klopp fan. Are you big on Mourinho? I know he's bought a couple of Welsh boys, so that's good. Are you a Mourinho fan?
Not really. I'm never. perhaps I'm warming to him a bit more as he's getting older because he's not quite so bad. But he was so arrogant, you know. But no, but obviously he's a brilliant manager. But I just didn't like his attitude. But I think he's calmed down a lot now. He's back with Tottenham.
He's grown up a little bit. But
and I love Frank Lampard.
Well, again, a Swansea boy, isn't he? He's one of
our own, isn't he? 6 weeks, all of 6 weeks, he's one of our own.
So that's good. I mean, what are your thoughts on the different games? Dan's getting a bit of game time on some of the less important matches. Dan James, another Swansea Academy player. He's looking good when he gets the chance, isn't he?
Yeah, it's so sad, really, isn't it, that he hasn't had the opportunity to, you know, just gel into the team because they play a different form than we used to play, you know. And when he's allowed, when he plays for Wales, he's a different player altogether. He's back to the old Dan we all knew and loved. But I hope they persevere with him and that he's able to stay there because I think that's where his heart is now.
And then, are they top of the league? They were getting towards the top. They are top of the league, aren't they? Top
yeah,
of the league
they are
this
top of the league.
Which is a surprise. Liverpool, you know, can you be that good for that long and keep it going? Is there always going to be a bit of a dip? People get used to your style of play and they know what to do?
That's right. And, you know, they've had problems with injuries. And this is the problem when you get the injuries. That, you know, if the players that come in, I know they're really brilliant players, but they've got to gel into that team again, haven't they? You know, and get the same understanding going. But, yeah, Liverpool are a bit disappointed.
Yeah. Sheffield United has been a surprise this year, having done so well last year. And again, you know, the first teams we look at are the teams that have had our ex-boys in. Ollie McBurney still hasn't pulled his socks up. But it hasn't really worked out. What's gone wrong this season, do you think?
I don't know, but also why I keep an eye on Sheffield United, because my brother-in-law Leonard played for Sheffield United.
Of course.
So I watched them the other night, you know, and then, yes, I don't know what's going on with them, but it doesn't look good, does it? They haven't got many points. And Ollie doesn't seem to be the flavour of the month at the moment. He's not playing now, so I don't know if he's injured or no. And like Brewster, doesn't look the same boy.
Come again with Brewster trying his luck from range. Oh, what a goal! Struck it from distance, and the keeper can only clutch it there. Swansea City leading by 1-0.
But then it was Championship he played in last year.
Yeah.
And it is a difference, that, you know. And the other one that I'm, you know, obviously being a Welsh boy, Purdue.
Yes.
He's not doing as well as I thought he would do there, because he's a really good player.
Yeah.
I remember his dad playing for the Swans.
Yes.
He's good full-back with us all.
Yeah. And it's interesting, isn't it? Because one of my favourite players this season for the Swans, we come round to the Swans then, is Connor Roberts. And this season he's been magnificent. It started with a change to the 5 at the back, I think. But it is strange. Players don't change, do they? But sometimes they don't play in the right system. Would that be right? You know, because Brewster was brilliant, but we played to his strengths. He seems to be a bit player at Sheffield United, whereas now Connor has got this great position on the right. I mean, he's terrifying for the defenders, isn't he?
When he first came into the team, you know, you looked at him and you thought, that's a boy with the heart of a lion. He just couldn't. He used to be up and down that wing, you know, battling along, tackling everybody and putting over some really good crosses. It looked then last year, he wasn't like one of Cooper's choices, you know, he wasn't always in the team or anything. But now this year he's come back with a vengeance. He's brilliant, you know, and he's back to the old player that we knew, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's one of my favourites. He's one of my boys.
One of your boys, one of Esme's boys. To the season so far, are you surprised that we're doing quite so well at Swansea City this year?
Not really, because I think what surprised me more was last season, because we weren't doing so well, and then suddenly we're in the playoff.
Swansea City have done it, and look at the reaction.
After we stopped with the COVID thing last year, we came back with this new system of 5 at the back, with the wing backs powering up and down with Bidwell on one side. And again, Bidwell has been quite a revelation this year.
I know. I can't believe he's the same player to when he first came to us. You know, now he's taking over with Connor. They're pelting up those wings, aren't they?
Yeah.
Either side, the two down. A bit like Ben used to go forward.
Yes.
Do you remember Ben, when he was here, he would always go forward and cross a good ball.
Yeah.
And, you know, the two we got now are doing it.
Yeah, and also we seem to be blessed, even with the accidents and the injuries we're getting with centre backs at the moment. I was obviously devastated when Joe Roden. You sort of understand that he was going to go and had to go, but then Ryan Bennett's been good, hasn't he? He's been like a grown up.
The thing with Joe, you know, he had to go. I mean, he's only a young lad and that's his future. But I'm so sad, really, that when he's always on the bench, you know, that's why it was so good to see him play in the Cup last week. But, you know, that happens with a lot of the players, and that they go away to these big clubs and they have to spend time on the bench, which, you know, I feel perhaps if they stayed that bit longer in the Championship, or a lesser team, you know, in the Premiership, so that they be getting the game time, because the game time is so important. You know?
Particularly that age, isn't it, when they're young and developing, and
that's why it's so sad now. Brandon Cooper's come back to us from Newport, and he's got injured now, so you know he could have had a chance of getting in. Because you feel, we took him back from Newport. They may have won that cup match against Britain if Brandon had been playing. But it's sad. And I mean, it's happened to Declan, going the other way. Declan John has gone to Bolton and he's pulled a hamstring, so he's not going to be able to play for a while. That is just, and we had it with, what's his name now? White Gibbs. Morgan
White Gibbs, Yeah. Who looked a real player, Esme, when he came on for that last 5 minutes in the last game he played for us. What did you say? Pretty feet he's got.
Great feet. I didn't realise how much so, because we hadn't seen hardly anything of them. But in that last 10 minutes in the corner with Andre Ayew, I thought, oh my God, he's got good feet. I know it sounds funny, good feet, because anybody who's got feet, they're good. But for a footballer to have good feet, and he's definitely got good feet.
I thought be the difference, you know, in this next half of the season. But he hasn't played for us, and we're still, you know, in the position that we're in at the moment, second in the league. So that's. We've still got players. Who has stood out for you? We talked about Connor. We've talked about Jake. Who else has stood up for you this season at Swansea City?
Well, I mean, Andre always puts in a good shift, and Andre Ayew is always like a different class, isn't he? You know, even when he's having a quiet game, he'll just do something, and he's like, oh my God, he's great, you know.
Yeah. Dances his way past a couple of them. Andre, yes, and that's what he does. Brilliant, Andre. And that's the difference.
And then there's our centre forward, Jamal Lowe. Now, first couple of games, it didn't go terribly well for him, but then all of a sudden it clicked and he's scoring.
He's got the same number of goals now as Andre, and they're both on 6, isn't it? 6.
Yeah.
All right. I'm not quite sure. Yeah, so that's good.
Well, if he's going to do anything, he'd have to do it on his own. And that's lovely by Lowe. Go on. Skips past one challenge, continues to go. Jamal Lowe. Jamal Lowe! Oh, yes! Oh, yes! Well played, Jamal.
They're getting the goals, and the main thing, not letting them in the other end.
Yeah.
You know, you've got a clean sheet, you've got a point to them, so that's good.
Exactly. Okay, then to the next couple of games. FA Cup, I suppose it's good to be in the next round. If we win against Nottingham Forest, we play against Manchester City, and we beat them last time. except
that referee.
Except for
the referee pointed all for us. But oh gosh, if only we had VAR, but we couldn't use it because other Championship teams didn't have it, but because we'd come down from the Premiership, we still had the VAR system, which we could have activated, you know, but you couldn't do it. But if we'd had VAR, we would have won that game, where Ryan Giggs was sitting behind me, and I just turned round to him, and the look of amazement on his face is that, and I'm sure he must have gone back and told them in Man U, and the next thing, Dan's being touted by Man U.
Yeah.
Anyway.
He definitely burst onto the scene, didn't he, in those games? And before you go, some good news about the club president, royalty amongst us, and well deserved. Alan Curtis, MBE.
I was so thrilled for that. I was really, nobody deserves it more than Alan, does he? He's been wonderful for the club. Yeah, so that was really good news.
Prediction for the weekend?
What worries me is all the travelling and the worry about this COVID, when you go to strange places and everything, that if we came away with a point, I'd be happy.
You'd be happy. Well, great to catch up with you again after all these months. And maybe we'll just keep on having a bit of a chat every so often, keeping an eye on the Swans, keeping an eye on the Premier League.
When there's something exciting happening.
Fantastic. Esme, lovely to speak to you.
I just can't wait to get there.
Yeah,
I'm waiting now for my vaccination, and then I'm thinking perhaps before long everybody be vaccinated and we can all go back.
Oh, fingers crossed, fingers crossed. Lovely to speak to you. Take care, of course, and I'll see you soon. And up the Swans.
Yes. Bye.
Bye-bye.